All right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. Hope you guys are having a good night so far. Hope you had a good day so far. And welcome back to the 23rd, which means we're doing back-to-back Jordan videos. If you, hopefully you guys caught the one from earlier today. That was about his baseball tenure. And I really enjoyed that one. That was something completely different than usual. And now I'm coming back for you guys tonight with a video. This is by Dom2K. This was recommended to me to react to. And this is called The Truth Behind Michael Jordan's 1-9 playoff record before Scottie Pippen. And you got me interested in this because this is such a dumb narrative. For me, this is such a stupid narrative that's been pumped out there. So I hope Dom2K is gonna shed some light on this in a concise manner to, shut up the haters. But whatever, they'll still talk. But we're doing our thing. All we can do is put out a ton of evidence and to promote our cause and just, let it sit. Do our body of work and then let it sit, kind of like Jordan did. Let it speak for itself. All right, everyone. Once again, I kind of need a name for this. Like, Happy 23rd doesn't really sound good. Like, I need a name, so help me out in the comments real quick. If you think of anything that comes to your head, if we're going to do this every 23rd, we need something. All right. As always, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description if you want to check that out without my reaction to it. It'll be right there for you. Everyone else, please leave a like to this video. It helps out a ton. And thanks, everyone. Happy 23rd. Let's do this.
Michael Jordan, who was the greatest player of all time, was 1-9 in the NBA playoffs before the Bulls drafted Scottie Pippen to help him. Period. Sadly, this is one of those half-baked narratives that's been ever so popular in the year 2017, mainly because Michael Jordan's legacy is under a full-fledged assault right now in the media.
2017? Yeah, this video is 7 years old. Interesting. So 2017, he was being attacked in 2017? I believe it.
Basically, as we speak, LeBron James is facing his toughest challenge ever in the NBA Finals. Should he find a way to beat them, his case to be the greatest of all time goes way up. So a lot of media outlets are taking this opportunity to tear Jordan down as much as possible just in case that does happen. And in that process, one of the most popular things to do has been to bring up Jordan's playoff record before he had Scottie Pippen because it's just shock value. 1-9 looks terrible at face value. But then you take a deeper look and realize that the whole argument and the way it's used, it's kind of cherry-picked just to discredit Michael Jordan. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys all the facts in one place so we can finally send this poor excuse of an argument to the shadow realm, much like I did with the whole Shaq carried Kobe thing. What's up?
Good, let's do it, because it's slanderous. It's just slander.
NBA fans, Dom2K on the mic, and it's probably important for me to mention that I am not a Jordan fan. I was too young to see him play, and I don't think he's untouchable, as you'll know if you've seen most of my videos. I just know a half-baked / biased argument when I see one.
That's fair.
A popular idea that normally accompanies this 1-9 argument is that Michael Jordan was eliminated multiple times in the first round. It's something that people used to say, while LeBron loses more finals than he wins, at least he was never beaten in the first round like Jordan, right?
Whatever. LeBron just lost in the first round last year, and in 2 years prior to that, he didn't even make the playoffs, and he's playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. So what?
Yeah, I'll be sending that one to the shadow round too momentarily.
Good.
First off, let's just look at the record. MJ played 10 playoff games over 3 years of his career before Scottie Pippen was drafted in 1987. Out of those 10, he was only able to get one win off the 1985 Bucks that eventually went on to knock Chicago out of the first round.
That was his rookie season.
For those of you that don't know, the first round back then only took 3 wins to advance.
Yep.
So that left Jordan with a 1-3 playoff record before he faced the legendary Celtics of the 80s back to back. He was swept in both of those rounds, which left him with a 1-9 playoff record over his first 3 seasons without Pippen.
Yep, arguably the greatest team of all time. Came back from injury in his second year. The first time he got swept, put up 63. I think he put up 45 another night. Like he played lights out. And going against one of the greatest teams of all time, definitely. Yeah, he got his ass whooped. Rightfully so.
So that's the end of it according to people who want you to believe that MJ was just this huge failure without Pippen. And now I'm gonna do all you unbiased minds who don't have an agenda a favor and add the context that they conveniently leave out.
Please do.
Context piece number 1. Michael Jordan was drafted to a pretty terrible Bulls team in a time when the East was housing one of the greatest teams ever that wasn't the Bulls. The 1984 Bulls had a record of 27-55 and were led in scoring by Orlando Woolridge and Quentin Daly.
27-55 was the record. That's what he inherited. Was that trash?
Two players that were actually caught up in the NBA's rampant cocaine problem at the time.
Yep.
Jordan was basically thrown on top of this team, and as a rookie, averaged nearly 30 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, and close to 6 assists to bring the Bulls back to the playoffs as a 7th seed. I'm not going to overrate that fact, mainly because the rest of the East wasn't that great at the time, and it only took about 38 wins to get them there. However, this put them against the 2nd seed Bucks with Terry Cummings that nearly won 60 games that season. Not only that, but they were amongst the league's top defensive teams of the time. Jordan's stats in that series were otherworldly for a rookie, and he was able to propel the Bulls to one win. However, they were ultimately beaten by a much better team. This one's pretty straightforward, but I have more to say about what happens next. In Larry and Magic's book called When the Game Was Ours, Bird describes the 1986 Celtics as probably the greatest Celtic team he was ever a part of. Him, McHale, and Parrish made up one of the toughest front lines in NBA history, and they'd also added Bill Walton at the time, who played a crucial role in defense and rebounding off the bench. They bolstered a record of 67-15 and were right at the top of the league in both offense and defense as they eventually went on to win the championship that same year. This was the legendary team that Michael Jordan was supposed to beat when he returned at the end of the season from a broken foot. This was only his sophomore season, and he only got to play 18 regular season games, starting in only 7 of those.
I'm sorry, I just realized something. When he was going back to the rookie season in the playoffs, the Bucks, I'm 99%. No, it's a fact. Sidney Moncrief, man, he had to go against Sidney Moncrief, arguably the greatest defending guard of all time, outside of Michael Jordan is on that list too. But yeah, that's what he got in his rookie year. So yeah, I just thought it was important to throw out Sidney on that one, man, because Sidney does not get enough respect whatsoever.
Management didn't even want him to return, but Jordan began accusing them of trying to tank to position themselves better in the draft, and he got his way.
They were.
In that series against Boston, not only did he average 43 points on 50% field goal shooting, he created what is still one of the most iconic playoff moments ever, dropping 63 points on the Celtics in the Garden. They go on to lose that game in overtime, but this was where Larry Bird described Michael Jordan as God in disguise. He would also say later in his book that it wasn't that Jordan was losing all those years, it was that he didn't have the team around him to win.
Yeah, it wasn't him that was losing. His team was losing, including him. But he was out there, what do you say, 43 points a game here? He's playing lights out. He's doing 3 people's jobs, basically. And he's not complaining or bitching about it. He's just out there balling out and doing everything he can to possibly win. But his team just wasn't good enough.
Bird was absolutely right when you lay out his stat line for this series and recall the forgotten fact that Jordan also put up 49 points in Game 1. There was simply no circumstance in which Jordan was going to eliminate one of the greatest teams of all time on his own.
No way.
So it came as no surprise when the Celtics repeated a sweep of the Bulls the very next year. And this is an interesting narrative we've got here with the whole 1-9 record thing, because take a look. The people who mainly use this argument are people advocating for LeBron James. These are the same people that are ready to give LeBron a trophy for getting to the finals in 2007 and being swept by the legendary Spurs. Do you see the bias there?
Yep.
These people credit LeBron saying he carried a terrible roster against the Spurs but simply didn't have the firepower to win, but then turn around and discredit Jordan for putting up 43 a game against one of the greatest teams ever with no firepower to win. How does that work?
I know, and it's even worse than the LeBron story, because those years with the Cavs, he was either having the best record in the East, or I believe there was one season he had the best record in the league with the Cavs. Bulls weren't doing that. The Bulls sucked, but the Cavs were actually able to win all those regular season games. Why weren't they able to get it done in the playoffs? And you see LeBron's playoff numbers go down, and it's like, okay, I think you're shooting yourself you're shooting yourself in the foot when you bring up Jordan's playoff run before Pippen, because there's only LeBron. LeBron lovers, that hate Jordan that are bringing this one up. But it's like, dude, we can just stick a mirror to you And look at what it looks like. It looks worse on your end. So it just never made any sense to me. Stupid argument.
It can't be because LeBron at least got to the finals that year, right? LeBron didn't have to face an all-time great team before getting that far. Michael Jordan did.
Yep.
I'm not discrediting LeBron's performance against the Pistons that year. I've been on record saying that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen, but just remember...
Same here. No Ben Wallace, but I still give him credit for what he did. He actually stepped it up this series. If this was the LeBron James that we got his whole career, I would be a big fan of LeBron. You know, this guy was cool. But it only lasted one series.
Remember before you called that an all-time great roster that Ben Wallace was no longer on that team, and he was a huge part of that team's success when they won the championship.
Good job, Dom.
Earlier.
Good job, Dom.
Oh, and just so we're clear about what Jordan was dealing with, by the time of the second sweep in 1987, remember I told you about Woolridge and Daly's cocaine problem?
Yep.
The Bulls had let both of them go by 1987, so Jordan didn't even have decent scores by the third season when he had to play the Celtics again in the playoffs. So with everything I've mentioned in his first 3 seasons, the amazing performances, the broken foot, the terrible team, the legendary competition, what exactly does it accomplish to say that Jordan was 1-9 before Pippen? What kind of weight does it hold? Before we get to that, let's cover the things people fail to mention after Pippen was drafted. First off, absolutely nobody mentions that it wasn't just Pippen who was added to that team, it was also Horace Grant.
For sure.
Although both of these guys would be vital parts of the Bulls' later success, neither of these guys began putting up franchise-changing production that year. Pippen, while obviously a great defensive player, only averaged about 8 points a game, and even crazier than that, he wasn't even a starter in the first year.
No, and he wasn't that great of a defender right out of the gates. That started developing by his second, third year, and then he became an elite defender, 100%. I give him that, but he wasn't that guy straight out of college. It took time to develop, just like his offensive game took time to develop, and his passing game.
He didn't start in one game out of the 79 he played, but you wouldn't know that by the narrative that tells you the Bulls drafted Pippen and everything just became fine and dandy.
Nope.
Also that year, instead of being greeted into the playoffs by the legendary Celtics, they played the much less significant Cavaliers, who were still a good team, but let the narrative tell it, and the Bulls won a series because Jordan finally had Scottie. Let reality tell it, and the Bulls won a series because Michael snatched Cleveland's soul almost single-handedly.
Yeah.
His stats for that series don't even make sense. 45 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, nearly 5 assists, almost 3 steals, and 1.6 blocks on 55% field goal shooting.
Freaking monster, man. Fucking monster.
Now, to keep things unbiased here and to show both sides, it is definitely worth mentioning that Scottie Pippen got his first start in Game 5 of the Cleveland series against the Bulls, and that's also the best game he had that season. Him and MJ definitely worked together to get a W there, but by that same token, you have to mention that Michael Jordan had already won 2 games with Pippen not really playing a huge role, especially in Game 1 where he didn't score any points at all.
Yeah.
So again, the argument that Pippen just walked in and started saving MJ's playoff career, it doesn't really work here.
Agreed.
In the next series, when they were bounced by Detroit in 5, Pippen was again producing no more than your average role player. Look, I'm not discrediting the impact Pippen would eventually go on to have on the Bulls and Michael Jordan's success. Much like how I told you that Kobe and Shaq needed each other, the 90s Bulls can't just be credited to Michael alone. Pippen was an incredible two-way player, and one of my favorite basketball stories is actually about how he and Jordan defensively harassed Tony Kukoc in the 92 Olympics. However, what I wanted to do was hit you all with the facts so we can stop using this stupid 1-9 narrative to discredit MJ. That phrase by itself makes it look like MJ was just nothing but a scoring machine until Pippen arrived.
Yeah.
When in reality, he was still a scoring machine well into the 1990s. And there's just many other factors that contributed to Jordan's horrid record in the 3-year window that he wasn't winning any playoff games. However, what I hate the most about this argument is how people can be pretty hypocritical when they use it. Let's just not sugarcoat it. This is an argument that just gets used by people trying to push LeBron James over Jordan for the GOAT title. Just so we're clear, I've said numerous times that Jordan has a chance to pass him, but this argument does not help his case the way it's used.
Yeah.
As I've mentioned before, LeBron gets credited for losing efforts all the time in which he played great in. The 2007 finals and what led up to it, the 2015 finals, those are all instances where people say, well, LeBron was amazing but his team wasn't, and the competition he faced was too good to be beaten by one man. Okay, but then you go on to discredit Jordan for his first 3 years that literally fall under the same exact category of playing amazing while his team didn't, and the competition being too good to be beaten by one man. And then the argument defaults to, well, Jordan was eliminated in the first round instead of the finals like LeBron. Well, newsflash, being eliminated in the first round makes a lot of sense when you're facing a 60-win team with elite defense and a superstar,
Yep.
or one of the most decorated teams to ever hit the hardwood.
Yeah, you were getting eliminated by the champion.
That's a stark difference from when you go to the playoffs and play teams like the Bobcats, Nets, or Wizards in the first round. And am I discrediting LeBron's performances against those teams? Absolutely not. That guy plays whoever's in front of him, and he always is great regardless of who it is. But as NBA fans, can we please use just a bit of common sense when comparing the two situations? Maybe just use some context. It kind of matters when you start comparing situations like these. So yes, the Bulls did get better as a team over time. They were bounced by the Pistons for 3 straight years until they finally had the perfect mix in 1991 to win the championship, and yeah, it takes a team to go that far. So while MJ did have a great team to win all those championships and their performance improved over the years, cherry picking his first 3 seasons without a team while being in the same conference as Larry Bird's Celtics isn't a good way to go. The bottom line is, you could have given him Pippen in those first 3 years as well, and they still wouldn't have beat the Celtics, nor would they have won a championship until the team developed and they added a few more pieces. My final comment, Jordan's career benefited from Pippen, and Pippen's benefited from Jordan's, but Pippen's absence is not what caused Jordan to lose 9 of his first 10 playoff games, and it's time to banish this half-baked argument to the shadow realm.
Exodia! Obliterate!
Well, that was an ending. Yeah, I like the exit music here. All right. Okay, good video, Dom. Good video, Dom 2K. This doesn't seem like slander on either side, so this is pretty cool. All I really have to contribute to all of it is, okay, I'm gonna list off some players here. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Wemby, Trace McGrady, Allen Iverson. Okay, like all people who got drafted very early in the draft, right? So we didn't expect any of these players to come in and all of a sudden make it to the championship and win a ring in their first 3 years. Okay, we're talking about 3 years, Jordan's first 3 years. They're ridiculing him for getting knocked out in the first round in his first 3 seasons. I'm praising him for even making it to the playoffs. That's something we celebrate, because when you get that high of a draft pick, like, that means your team is trash. You're one of the few worst teams in the league, and that's why you get such a high draft pick. So you celebrate making the playoffs. Jordan made the playoffs all 3 of those first years. We didn't have the same expectations with Carmelo to come in and win a championship right off the bat. We didn't have those expectations of LeBron James. It's like when you get to about 5 years in, that's when we start looking at it and going, is this working or not? And by the time Jordan was in the league for 5 years, on his 5th year, he made the conference finals by then, right? And he was just about to propel himself into winning 6 championships. So they were growing. It was a constant growth. And look at Kobe. Kobe didn't even get to play his first couple of, barely played his first couple of seasons. So he didn't even get to really make an impact. Jordan at least made a significant impact. He was out there, putting up, averaging 40-something points a game in the playoffs, playing his ass off. He definitely made an impact for a non-playoff team to now be a playoff team, So I'll never understand it. We didn't have those expectations of anybody in any sport to immediately make that kind of an impact. It's not like the Lions drafted Barry Sanders back in the day and they were disappointed in him because they didn't win a Super Bowl in the first 3 years. It's like you got to build around that talent, and it takes time in order to do so. But I don't know. Haters are going to hate. Not much you can do about it. But I did enjoy this video. I thought it was very fair. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. And once again, what are we gonna name the 23rd? All right, what are we gonna name the 23rd? I need some help on this one. I'm drawing a blank. But all right, everyone, let me know what you thought. And yeah, help me with the nickname or with whatchamacallit, whatever, with the name of our holiday, our Jordan holiday that we're gonna do once a month, because why not? You know, why not? All right, everyone, I appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Hit the bell notification if you want to be notified. If you do, I will see you tomorrow morning on the next one, okay? All right. Peace out, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Be peaceful, but have some fun. And tell your loved ones you love them, all right? All right, I'm out. Good night, everyone.